A Russian court has found opposition figure Alexei Navalny guilty on charges of large-scale fraud. He could face 13 more years in prison on top of the 2.5-year sentence he is already serving. Russian prosecutors are now seeking to move Navalny to a maximum security penal colony. He was arrested last year after surviving a poison attack, which he blames on the Kremlin. Navalny is a vocal critic of Russia's president. He's denied the charges against him and says the case is politically motivated. For more on this story, we can speak now to Sergei Guriev. He is a professor of economics at the Center for Economic Policy Research. He is also one of the first sponsors of Navalny's anti-corruption fund and his longtime friend. Mr. Guriev, thanks for joining us here on DW. I want to start with getting your reaction to the verdict today. Did it come as a surprise to you?
No, it is not a surprise. When Alexei Navalny was returning to Russia, it was very clear that the chances that he would be immediately imprisoned and kept in prison as long as Mr. Putin sits in Kremlin were very high. And I think nobody was surprised that this court took place now during the war, when the world is looking the other way. And nobody is surprised by the verdict. But one of the things which is also very clear is as long as Mr. Putin is gone, Mr. Navalny will be freed as well.
You said the world is looking the other way, and now Russian prosecutors want to move Navalny to a maximum security penal colony. How worried are you about what will happen to Alexei Navalny?
I'm very worried, and I should say that so far, Vladimir Putin apparently told the prison administration that Alexei Navalny should be treated like other prisoners, which is quite brutal. Russian prison system is not nice to its clients, to put it this way. Yet Alexei Navalny has been able to communicate with the outside world, has actually been effective in his politics despite substantial isolation from the world. And so maximum security prison will be completely different, and I'm really, really worried. But I know Alexei for many years, and I know he's a brave and courageous man, and I think he will stand up to this challenge.
This is all, as you said, happening against the backdrop of Russia's war against Ukraine, and you've been very vocal in condemning this war, and you started the initiative True Russia to help Ukrainian refugees. Why was that important to you?
This is very important because I think we need to say that this is not our war. That Mr. Putin is trying to say it's a war in the name of the Russians, but we are real Russians, true Russians. We are normal people. We don't want to hurt other people. We want to help Ukrainian refugees. And indeed, together with Mikhail Baryshnikov and Boris Akunin, we launched this initiative more than a week ago when we started to collect funds for Ukrainian refugees among Russian diaspora. This is our duty to help the people who are suffering because of Vladimir Putin, whom we didn't vote for, whom we've never supported, who is an enemy of Russia. And yet we feel responsibility that we've not been able to stop him. We've not been able to make sure that Russia remains a peaceful country. And because of our inability to stop this man, millions are now running away from their homes and thousands are dying. And so what we are trying to do is at least to do something to stop being helpless, to support those people who are suffering because of Russia's dictatorial regime.
If we look at efforts to stop President Putin, you have welcomed the sanctions that the West has implemented against Russia. Do you worry that these sanctions could backfire, that normal Russians, as you said, could then just blame the West for their deteriorating economic situation?
Well, the West has always been worried about this, and correctly so. The problem is that the attempts to deter Mr. Putin, to warn him that the war shouldn't start. So these efforts have failed. And by now, as far as I understand, the objective of the objective of the sanctions is not to increase the cost of the war for Mr. Putin, but simply to destroy his ability to conduct war. Thousands are dying. Actually, thousands of Russians are also dying because Russian soldiers are being killed at a rate we've not seen even in Afghanistan. and thousands of Ukrainians are dying, and millions are running away. And so, in order to stop the war, the West is introducing sanctions. And actually, this week, President Biden is traveling to Europe, trying to convince Europeans to stop paying Mr. Putin for oil and gas exports. If that happens, Mr. Putin will be in a very tight spot, lacking resources to continue the war.
Mr. Guriev, one last question. I mean, what measure would it take, do you think, to bring this war to an end, to stop President Putin?
I think the oil embargo Mr. Biden and many European leaders are discussing now will shut the door, shut the exit from this economic situation for Mr. Putin. Currently, he may still hope that he will be able to reorient his oil exports towards other countries and restore influx of oil dollars. Once the West introduces a unified embargo and starts talking to China about China joining the embargo, that may result in him losing the revenues and therefore stopping the war.
We have to leave it there. Sergei Guriev, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you.